Let's hear from Adele, who's in Springfield, Illinois, Democratic caller.
Good morning, Ms. Greta. What a wonderful surprise you changed your schedule, huh? Congressman, you just talked about socialism, and you just 5 minutes ago you talked about ethanol subsidies. You believe in corporate welfare, but if some poor guy can't get a job or can't earn enough, you want him to.
You misheard me, sir.
Adele, hold on.
Adele, you completely misheard me. No, I am adamantly opposed to these subsidies. I'm adamantly opposed to any form of corporate welfare. I think consumers ought to be making these decisions and driving the economy, not government officials handing out subsidies and credits and other advantages to their friends. That's destroying our economy. Perhaps we're in complete agreement on this point.
Adele, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you for correcting me. But I think by saying that, it doesn't change how they vote. They're both in the same boat in the sense that Democrats have a certain industry that they subsidize, and the Republicans have other subsidies that they want to subsidize. Like you said, Greta, it's been going on for 50 years. That doesn't change.
Well, you're right. It's not a partisan issue, but I think it's a critical one for this country. And you're right. Both parties are to blame. And maybe we ought to start seeing if we can't organize a caucus of both Republicans and Democrats who will oppose all subsidies, all tax credits, all of these grants where we throw out money without following up on how it's being spent. That's at the core of our problem, in my judgment.
In saying that, you believe that having Trump's taxes, well, those taxes, you put it on the credit card, that $1.9 trillion, that goes towards our debt.
Yeah, but we actually, but again, Adele, those tax cuts, and again, it wasn't just the tax cuts, it was also the impact of the regulatory reforms. In fact, I think that was a larger portion of the stimulus. But we actually ended up collecting more money after we cut those taxes than we'd been taking in before. And right now we're at about the highest percentage of taxes per GDP that we've recorded since World War II.
Last question. Congressman, the 10 years that you have the budget saving $3 trillion, is there a freeze on your salary for that 10 years that you are imposing on the other parts of it?
Actually, I was elected in 2008, and Congress has not had an increase in all of those years. So, yeah, my salary's been frozen now for 15 years. But I do think that we need to be skeptical about all of these out-year savings. I have argued in the Budget Committee that the only year that matters is the current year, because that's the only year that we actually have control of. Instead of talking about savings 10 years from now, we need to be focused on what we can save this year. If we do that successfully, the future will take care of itself.
John is in California, a Republican caller. Your turn.
Good morning. Good morning, Thomas. Good to see you. You're a very good congressman, and Kevin McCarthy is actually my congressman, but one of the few Republicans that we have left out here in California. I am really struck by the fact that you are one of the few Republicans I've ever heard make the point that every time, going back to John Kennedy, that the taxes have been cut, the revenue to the government increases every time, and increases. If you would cut the capital gains tax, you would see an economic boom that would increase more money to the government. Also, I wish the Republicans, I think we're in for a shellacking, actually, in 2024. I really do. I don't think we react well. When Biden announced his candidacy, one of the first things he said was, the Republicans want to cut Social Security. I wonder, do you know of a Republican that has proposed that we cut Social Security, which, by the way, is not the program that everybody believes it is. One of the reasons that Social Security is strained is they've included disability and things like that. Some legitimate disabilities, drug addiction, and all that keep piling on, that in actuality probably is more welfare than it is Social Security.
All right, John,
Well,
sorry, I have to jump in.
Yeah, well, those who say, well, don't touch Social Security, what they're advocating a cut, because in 2034, Social Security recipients will see an automatic 25% or so cut in their benefits. That's wired in right now. That's going to happen. So the question is, are we going to step in and make the modifications to the system that are necessary to prevent that from occurring? But doing nothing guarantees a 25% cut across the board in benefits in 2034. That's the course we're currently on.
He said that Republicans will take a shellacking in 2024. Who do you think should be the candidate for the Republican Party?
Well, I'm leaning toward Ron DeSantis right now. I don't agree with him on everything, but I think we would generally have the successful Trump policies without all of the drama. And but a lot's going to unfold between now and then. My experience has been that the candidates that you're talking about a year and a half before the election are very seldom the same candidates you're talking about a week and a half before the election.
The former president endorsed you for your bid in 2022.
He did, and I think I think he did a superb job as president. I think he was a lousy communicator. I think that Oliver Wendell Holmes' advice was something he should have taken, and that is that when you argue with your emotions, you will never fail to delight your supporters, infuriate your adversaries, and alienate that vast middle group you need to persuade. I think if Donald Trump had been able to summon a little of his inner Ronald Reagan, and he's got it. All of my experience with him have been positive, but I think if he'd been able to do that, he would have been reelected in a landslide.
Congressman, you had some fans this morning on the program, viewers.
Listen, I'm fans of CSPAN myself. You've got such a unique audience. They are always very well informed. They span the political spectrum, and they care about the future of our country. So I get a big lift every time I appear here, and I thank you for having me.
Well, we thank you.